Hallelujah chorus from Messiah, a piece which is woven into the fabric of our national life. But it was written by a German, Georg Friedrich Händel, a brilliant yet volatile composer who came to Britain to make his fortune and wound up enriching and redefining our musical life.
Here he is, cemented into the wall in Westminster Abbey as a national icon, carved from the life, and holding the manuscript of his most famous work, Messiah.
But how did a foreign composer become such a celebrity here? And what is it about his music that still captivates and fascinates us today?
Handel's capacity to write a melody which reflects emotion is brilliant. He really gets people going, you know, he can come and move you and get right into the depth of your soul and then yank you back out.
Hallelujah! Hallelujah! You've got to attack it!
My journey will take me back 250 years to some of the places Handel lived and worked in order to discover the man behind the music.
He was almost like, in the cultural sphere, the equivalent of the king. I mean, the king was German, top cultural figure was German.
Handel wrote some of the greatest music of his, or I think, any age.
He took Britain as his home, and the British took him to their hearts. He is our greatest adopted musical genius, and we're proud to continue performing his music.
Handel seems to bestride the centuries as a musical conquering hero. His coronation anthem, Zadok the Priest, gives us some clues about the unique and enduring qualities of Handel's genius. Its extraordinary, slow-burning crescendo builds up to an awe-inspiring climax, evoking all the pomp and majesty of the occasion. It was written 300 years ago for the coronation of King George II and has been used at every coronation since then. Millions across the world heard the music of Handel when Elizabeth II was crowned Queen at Westminster Abbey in 1953. But Handel's fame and popularity are not just a modern phenomenon.
Few, if any, composers have been as celebrated during their lifetime as Georg Friedrich Händel.
At the start of the 18th century, London was the fastest growing and wealthiest city in Europe. When the ambitious young keyboard virtuoso and composer arrived here in 1711, he had a master plan. He was 27 years old and in love with Italian opera. And his plan was to establish this sophisticated European art form in the United Kingdom. He announced his arrival on the London scene with Rinaldo, the first Italian opera to be composed specifically for the British stage. The rich and the fashionable flocked to the opera, drawn to its story of love in a time of war, complete with a beautiful princess, a spiteful enchantress, and a host of chivalrous knights and crusaders. But it wasn't just the lavish orchestration or the spectacular scenic effects, which included the release into the theatre of a flock of starlings, or even his own keyboard fireworks that made this young cosmopolitan composer the talk of the town. It was his singers. London had never seen or heard anything before like these singers, brought over from Italy at huge expense. They were simply the best in the world. their exotic personalities off stage attracting almost as much attention as the music they sang.
Handel was, in pop culture terms, at the top of his game. His arias read the way people listen to songs, to popular songs today, and they were as popular in his time as they are now. Lascia ch'io pianga is a very dramatic piece. There is a dichotomy between the dignity of the music and the sort of wallowing sadness of a young girl. You've got this beautiful, simple melody. It couldn't be more simple. She sings about weeping for her fate, and she says it over and over again, and it does sound like somebody who can't get the words out, and Handel writes it beautifully. He actually literally cuts the phrase in two. Mia cru da sorte, like, just like somebody who would be crying and is whimpering and can't get it out.
Handel's operatic genius was to be able to reach out beyond the conventions of the high Baroque, to present his audience with characters who, through music, express vivid human emotions. These are people that in different circumstances could almost be you or me.
Va far guerra is sung by Armida, who's the sorceress in Rinaldo. It's an aria about revenge, it's an aria about vendetta, it's an aria about rejection even, because she discovers that her consort has been unfaithful to her and is in fact not in love with her, but in love with the princess. She has everything. She has power, she's magnetic, she's strong, but she doesn't have love. And that is quite a telling thing, actually, that propels her to revenge and to hurt. Handel uses triplets to keep banging in this idea of vendetta, of this sort of gnawing jealousy that she has. It's used in a sort of knife wound. You know, I'm going to keep pushing the dagger in deeper and deeper.
Rinaldo was a massive public success with an unprecedented 3-month run. But for the ambitious young composer, it was also a personal success. He'd found the audience he needed, and he was determined to give them what they needed. Sophisticated Italian opera, Handel style. But where did all this burning ambition come from? I've travelled to Handel's birthplace, the town of Halle, in eastern Germany.
At the end of the 17th century, a certain Georg Handel, together with his second wife Dorothea, lived here at the house at the sign of the Yellow Stag, earning a comfortable living as a barber surgeon with a sideline in selling wine.
They're currently stripping the house back to its original 17th century core, giving us a tantalising glimpse into the fashionable middle-class affluence the Handel family must have aspired to.
This is supposed to be the room where, on the 23rd of February 1685, Georg Friedrich Händel was born. Every biography has 2 or 3 charming anecdotes about his childhood, but in reality we know virtually nothing about Handel's early years, apart from the fact that he had a huge propensity for music, something which apparently alarmed Georg Sr.
His ambition was for his son to enter a respectable profession and become a lawyer. Musical instruments were banned from the house, and the father did everything he could to discourage his son. But when the boy was 12, Georg Sr. died.
With his father gone, nothing could stand in the way of the young George Frederick, and the church offered multiple opportunities for music making and access to instruments.
So, here at the Market Church in Halle, the teenage Handel, already a devout Protestant, would come to worship, but also to improve his skills on the organ.
And here it is, built in 1664, just 30 years before Handel would have sat right down here and played it. Still sounding as sweet as ever, best part of 350 years later.
Driven by his huge talent and ambition, Handel left provincial Halle at 17. He spent his early 20s travelling across Europe, developing a passion for Italian opera and extending his skills in church music. He composed Dixit Dominus in his early 20s during a lengthy stay in Rome, a Latin psalm set in the most fashionable, rich Roman Catholic style by a Lutheran Protestant. By the time he arrived in London, the talented boy from the provinces had become a sophisticated, cosmopolitan composer. He was the right man in the right place at exactly the right time.